There are exactly 4 things that might be preventing you from enjoying yourself on the dance floor. And I see so many people think that there is something wrong with them because they cannot just let go and feel free and enjoy dancing. Well, in today's video, I'm going to tell you what is missing so that we know how to fix it. If you're an adult approaching 30 or over 30 years old who doesn't feel great on the dance floor, maybe you tend to avoid dancing in social settings, there's a link below this video where you can book a free consultation with me where we will identify what you struggle with, what your dance goals are, and I'm going to guide you on best next steps you can take. You can see a lot of amazing folks that learn with me on my other channel. I'm going to link it below, and hopefully you're inspired by their stories. And they were beginners just like you. They literally would avoid dancing at all costs, and now they dance freely at every single party. Number one thing that prevents you from feeling good dancing is basically not knowing where to start, what to do on the dance floor. And number one mistake I see people make is they go and learn the moves, right? Because you're like, I have to know what to do on the dance floor. Let me learn a bunch of dance moves. Well, the problem with that is if you lack fundamental dance skills, you'll have the moves, but you won't know how to use them. And I did make an in-depth video on that. You can watch it below this video. But the solution is very simple. You want to start with what you have. You don't have to wait until you perfected 50 or 100 dance moves, because that won't make you look good dancing, right? You have to be comfortable and look comfortable doing what you know. So any movements that you have, test them out on the dance floor. Practice them first, of course, so you feel good with them. But then as soon as you have some movements, even just a few, get them onto the dance floor. It will work so much better. Because I always repeat that it's not the amount of moves that makes you look good dancing, it's how good you make them look. So any moves that you know, just do them. And I will show you a proof of that. You'll be able to see what looks better. Me doing a bunch of dance moves poorly, kind of just like faking it because I don't know how to do them well, versus doing fewer movements but looking very comfortable with them. Fewer basic moves. Issue number 2, why you might be feeling uncomfortable dancing in social settings, is being afraid of looking boring. You might be thinking, my movements are very, very basic. What I'm doing doesn't look interesting. That's not an issue. You can always later replace basic movements with more interesting ones. But what I would do is, again, starting with the basics, any movements that you're feeling comfortable with, and work on those few moves to the point where you like the way they look on you, right? So we first make those movements that we have look great, and only then, this is where my method of highlights comes in, you will be gradually adding movements that are a little bit more complex and mixing them with the basics. I found through working with thousands of beginners over the past 18 years, this looks best, and I will show you examples. So even if you're doing something simple like a 2-step or some movements in place, just grooving, bouncing, from time to time, throw in a figure 8, throw in a body roll to make it pop a little bit. But again, you have to make sure you know those advanced movements, those more complex movements really well. Do not include complex moves if you don't know how to do them yet, because then of course it's going to show, right? You have to be comfortable with all the movements you're mixing up. So think of highlights as movements that are kind of like 1 step of 2 or 2 steps above your level of dancing. So they are challenging and they would look more interesting on the dance floor. And then again, your freestyle would be mostly moves that you're comfortable with. I use 80-20 technique. So 80% of the song is the moves that are simple, the movements that you might be even sick of, but those moves will look the best. And only 20% of the song would be those highlights, those more fancy moves. And just to show you an example, you can see my student Sarah. She's grooving, she's vibing, she's doing something that feels good to her. It doesn't look like anything too technical, right? But then from time to time, she would throw a move that's a little bit more advanced and it stands out, it pops. That's a highlight. Another example is Michael. When we started working together, you can see his before video, he only knew a few like boring moves that of course didn't look good on him. But instead of forcing those advanced movements on him and instead of him stressing throughout his entire freestyle about how to do them well, we did the 80-20 technique. So he uses simple movements, he still is grooving to the music, but then you can see from time to time those highlights, fancy advanced moves. He makes them look seamless because most of his freestyle is still all their moves that he's comfortable with. Number 3, what else is making you feel uncomfortable on the dance floor is not liking the way you look dancing. And this can mean a lot of things, right? There might be an issue that you know you have. Maybe it's stiffness. Maybe it's my arms look awkward when I dance. Maybe it's my hips are rigid. I can't really move them smoothly. Well, if you're aware of any issues, guess what's going to happen when you're on the dance floor? You will be thinking about them, and that will prevent you from enjoying yourself, right? Not even during the party. You might actually be thinking about those issues before you even get on the dance floor. When somebody's inviting you to go out and dance, if you know that, oh, I'll be expected to dance, but I know this doesn't look good on me or that doesn't look good on me, you already are stressing about dancing. I want you to really think about those specific issues that you have. We all know what's wrong with us, right? Like, I'm sure you've danced before, maybe you follow tutorials, maybe you took class and something wasn't working. The movements weren't coming out the way you wanted them to. Usually when we don't like how the movements look on us, that's something physical. And because it's physical, we can fix it. So let's say if it's hard for you to move upper and lower body together, or the hips don't move well, or I can't move the arms with everything else, that is usually a problem with coordination, with body control, right? Getting the movements out and connecting all those different muscle groups, different body parts. So then all you have to do to fix that issue is to work on your coordination. It will improve, the issue will be fixed, and you won't have those horrible thoughts while you're on the dance floor. You won't feel like you're lacking something. What does it mean to work on coordination is adding layers gradually. Don't try to move everything at once. Usually when you see me dance and when I'm teaching the movements, I'm teaching all kinds of different body parts, right? But it's all broken down. So you don't want to be doing feet and hips and torso and arms all at once. If you know that the movements don't come out as seamless on you as you would like them to, you have to start with the foundation. And usually it's the lower body. The lower body is something that we can start with. So let's say any step you're learning, start with footwork, and only if you can move the feet to the beat, add something else, whether it's arms or hips or shoulders. Only perfect those two before adding another layer. Otherwise, it will be a mess. So I want you to, any movement that you're learning from now on, approach it that way. You will see that it helps a ton. This is exactly how I teach clients in my online program. There is an order in which coordination should be built. Like, we gradually challenge our coordination and therefore it improves. If you need any help with that, again, the link to work with me is below. Issue number 4, this is something that everyone experienced at least once in their life, is constantly second guessing yourself on the dance floor. Not being sure that you're doing something correctly, if it looks good on you. Having those thoughts, of course, will prevent us from enjoying ourselves, right? This is a huge sign, if that happens, that your fundamental dance skills are missing. Because if you know that you're doing everything correctly, that means with rhythm, you're connecting different body parts, and it looks right, you can transition smoothly between the movements, you won't be asking yourself, is that okay? Did I mess something up? Am I doing it right? Because you will know the answers. So if you know the answers, you are not going to ask yourself those questions. Like, would you ask yourself, am I doing it correctly with music? If you know 100% that you have rhythm? No. Are you going to ask yourself, what do I do next? If you already can smoothly transition between the moves without thinking, you're not going to have those questions. Let me know if you resonated with any of that. Like, what specific issues out of those 4 you notice you have on the dance floor? Or what is stopping you from enjoying yourself? I'm curious to see. And if you need more help with this, if you want me to identify the issues that are specific to you and your situation, be sure to book a call with me. You have a link underneath this video. It's a free consultation. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. And let's see if we can work together to fix those issues once and for all. Again, you'll find the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and I'm going to see you in my next video very soon. Bye, guys.